Some people love trees. I love trees. Hey, everybody.
Is that how we're starting out?
Yeah, totally. Let's see if it works. I'm going with it.
Okay.
All right, so obviously we have 2 bottles up here.
Are we really not doing the intro? I'm sorry, I thought you were joking.
Go with it.
Now I just f***ed your thing up here. Okay. Sorry. I'm just going to sit here and look pretty.
And done.
It's over.
All right, anybody who's still watching, I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking bourbon. All right, we've got double oaks.
We do. So
this is an Old Forester 1910 Old Fine whiskey. They don't spell it with an E because they're weird.
Right. And this is Woodford Double Oak. So there's a slight proof difference, but not much. This is 90.4. That's 93. This one, as you can see, is getting low. So I kind of figured before...
Adios to the bottle.
Yeah, before the bottle gets killed, might as well do a little comparison. So they're both double oak, which means...
What does double oak mean?
Yeah, they age a whiskey, normal, bourbon, and then after it's done aging, they transfer that to a brand new, freshly charred oak barrel and age it a little bit longer. So it's not a used barrel, and it's not a wine finish or anything like that. It's just they take it out of its original barrel, pour it into another one for, I'm not sure how long. Not too long. I think
we tend to think it's less than a year for that second aging.
Yeah.
It tends to be like 10 months or something.
And I really like Woodford, and I really like Old Forester, so these are going to be fun to do. I haven't had too much of this. This is the only bottle of this I've had, so I've only had a couple pours of it. I've obviously had a bunch of this, but so let's get into it here.
All right, I'm going to start with the Old Forester.
Yep, yeah. So the Old Forester on the right here is the Old Forester on the right in both of our little setups here. Really dark and rich.
Surprisingly so. Like, I don't drink a lot of Old Forester, and they're kind of known for a couple of notes that kind of stand out prominently that haven't worked well for me, so I've kind of ignored Old Forester and then occasionally pick one up and think, that's not bad.
Yeah, I really like Old Forester.
But this particular double oak I have not had, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, really, really dark, rich. No, it's like a dark caramel.
Yeah, almost molassesy.
Yeah. And Old Forester kind of has that. I know a lot of people say Old Forester has kind of a banana note to it.
Yeah, banana bread. Yeah.
Banana bread, yeah.
I definitely get that every time I have Old Forester.
But the thing is about a double oak is just adding it to that second barrel doesn't just add extra oak flavor to it. It really does change the flavor profile. Like, this is not a normal tasting bourbon.
Old Forester, it's not Old Forester that's extra aged. It's
right, and this is not a normal tasting Woodford. It really does add a whole different layer of kind of flavor notes to it. And so if you're new to bourbon and this is one of your first tries, other bourbon is going to taste, it's going to taste different when you have it because this is such a different
I still am getting
profile.
The banana on the nose.
Yeah.
It's got like a real bright and like, I don't know, there's something about that flavor, that nose that I get that reminds me of bananas.
All right, I'm going for it. Oh, that's delicious.
Tastes like freshly baked banana bread with a really nice coating of butter.
There's a
nice and warm.
There's a note that I get out of double oak products that's kind of it almost borders into a wine sort of note.
That's just crazy.
It's that, I don't know what it is, but it just does. And maybe it's kind of that darker fruit note that I'm picking up or something like that. But normal double oaks kind of remind me of a cask finish, like a wine cask finish. I get that kind of extra flavor. And I also usually get like a kind of a syrup note, like a pancake syrup.
Even the maple?
Yeah.
I get the sweetness, but definitely don't get the maple.
A little bit. It's like that, and then it's kind of like a really dark fruit, like I said, kind of edging into that wine sort of note. And then, of course, barrel.
Yeah. So I really get the banana bread note, and I love banana bread, but for whatever reason, that Old Forester flavor profile didn't work for me a couple years ago, and so I ignored them to my own discredit. And I've only recently started liking some of the Old Forester products that I've been trying.
That's kind of how it works, though. You get into different stuff at different times.
And there's a lot of things to choose. I mean, you can't drink everything every day, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, these are both Brown-Forman also.
That is true.
So Woodford and Old Forester are different brands, but they're both under the same umbrella of the... Yeah.
But I think they do have different taste profiles.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They definitely have some differences. Just between the regular products, and then when you add the double oak, you're really pushing the distinctions.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to the... Are you finishing yours, or are you going to come back to it?
I'll come back to the...
Oh, you can always pour some more.
There's always more.
Right. Definitely a little more oak on this one. I'm not getting the rich, dark sweetness as much.
Nope, not the sweetness.
But it still kind of has that double oak note that I was saying, where it kind of edges into that dark fruit.
What this reminds me of, and this is traditional Woodford note, is the shells of peanuts after you remove the peanut. Just that dry, dusty peanut shell.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't get that off of Woodford stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's another brand that's also known for that particular profile, and it's different. But I definitely do get like a peanut note.
I feel like this one has similar flavor notes to it, but it's a little more subdued.
Oh, this one I'd say is more cinnamon.
Really?
Yeah, if I were to describe them, I would say banana bread, which I love, cinnamon, which I love. But I would say they're rather distinct. Now, the cinnamon, I think, in some ways kind of matches up with your kind of cherry, dark wood inspired.
Yeah. I guess in comparison, I can see the cinnamon. I wouldn't have picked that out, and I've never picked that out on this, drinking it, but...
So I want you to try something.
Okay.
And this may not work for you, but I'm willing to take that risk. I want you to take a slightly larger sip, and I want you to let the bourbon go to the underside of your tongue.
Okay.
Now, first of all, it's going to burn like hell.
Well, that's... Which one? Or do it with both of them?
The Woodford.
Okay.
And see if it should just add more. It's a...
Do I hold it there?
Yeah, and then hold it for several seconds till you start to cry. We'll all laugh. Yeah, and then eventually swallow. Should get lots of new flavors.
There's new flavors, but the flavors that were already there
are intense.
Are really kind of turned up to 11.
Yeah.
It is rather uncomfortable under your tongue, but...
We all drink upside down, by the way.
Yeah.
You should drink from the bottom of your tongue. 1,000 times better. Or stand on your head.
I would go stand on your head. Yeah, I mean, it really does bring out... there's something about Woodford Double Oak that has always just been unique to me. I feel like the flavors are darker in both of these. And I kind of get that on normal Old Forester, like a, bottled in bond, or even like the 100 proof regular. And then the regular Woodford. And I think that maybe is just coming from that Brown-Forman profile, because they do have some similarities.
Yeah.
You can almost tell that they're from the same distillery. But these two, while they're in the same kind of family, they're definitely very different.
I think a lot of difference, yeah.
You can tell they're the same style of bourbon, that they're a double oak. And maybe you can even get that same distillery out of them, but they're really kind of have their own unique... Maybe I'll throw some more in there. Now I've got to try that under the tongue thing with this one.
We started a thing. Every bourbon channel has their thing. Ours is stand on your head.
Yeah, that's, wow. A lot of flavors. So, if this is a shootout between these two, are you doing the thing?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Which one do you have a preference?
I am going to shock nobody except for myself when I say this. I like this guy.
I'm going Old Forester as well.
And I've owned several of these. This has always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I remember at one point this was like your favorite.
It really was. It's always been impressed with it. And I've really disliked Old Forester, but I think what I've found over the course of a couple years is everything that I disliked with regard to bourbon, I now like.
Mm-hmm.
I like some of the more aggressive flavors, some of the higher rye, mash bills, some of the higher alcohol proof points.
Well, that's what's fun about, just getting into collecting different bourbons and stuff like that, is you really do kind of learn to, because at first you drink an 80 proof if you've never just drank a whiskey neat, and it's, you'd think you're drinking fire. And then now it's like 80 proof. It's like, put a glass of that next to my bed in case I wake up in the middle of the night and need to hydrate. You know what I mean?
Do not try this home.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But you know what I mean, though? It's like it's so thin and watered down now that...
Yep.
Anyway, these are both excellent. I think this is the winner for both of us. But
I agree.
It's a recommend on both of them for sure. But if you're new to bourbon, this is going to be very different than a standard bourbon profile.
Yeah.
So it's a fun avenue to explore.
Yeah, it's like every one of the little flavors, and there's a ton of different flavors while you're tasting a bourbon. They're all turned up to 11, as you said. Mm-hmm. Just normally, not even under the tongue, standing on your head.
Yep. And that extra barrel,
Yep.
It just gives you something different. I don't know what their story is with their extra barrel, but I know with Old Forester, they say that the second barrel is charred to the point almost of disintegration, like you can barely hold the bourbon. So you're getting that extra char too, and
barrel char.
Yeah, and you get a lot of flavor out of that. And I'm not sure what they do with the Woodford, but so yeah, both of them are great. Total recommend.
Absolutely.
All right, well, this has been the Double Oak Showdown. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. This has been the Bourbon Oak. Cheers.